Hello. I invite you to continue the series of calm reflections on the book Our Home by André Luiz, a spiritual story about life after death and the journey of consciousness. If you haven't listened to the first episode yet, it is worth returning to it, because the second chapter begins exactly where confusion ended. Chapter 2 is titled Clarêncio. This chapter deepens the experience that André Luiz began in the previous one. It is no longer just confusion. It is an escalation of suffering. Cries echo from all sides. The accusations do not cease. Suicide. Criminal. Wretch. André cannot see his persecutors clearly. He glimpses them only fleetingly, blurred, slippery figures, vanishing into dense darkness. When despair reaches its peak, he lunges toward them, gathering the last of his strength. But he strikes only the air. Mocking laughter wounds him more deeply than any blow. Black silhouettes dissolve into the darkness, and he is left alone. And then a question appears, one that will return throughout this chapter like a refrain. Whom can I turn to? André's suffering is no longer only spiritual. Hunger torments him physically. Thirst burns like fire. The simplest sensations of material life still make themselves felt. His beard grows. His clothing tears and decays. But the most painful thing is not abandonment itself. The most painful is the constant pressure of hostile forces, beings that paralyze thought, disorient him, and do not allow him to calmly reflect on his situation. He wants to understand. He wants to find the causes, and chart a new direction of thought. But voices of accusation, groans, and insults shatter every attempt at focus. What are you looking for, wretch? Where are you going, suicide? These words wound him more deeply than anything else. Because André does not consider himself a suicide. He clearly remembers his struggle to live. He remembers the sanatorium, the doctors, the painful procedures after a severe intestinal surgery. He remembers the touch of the thermometer, the sting of needles, and the final image before death. His wife and 3 children, looking at him with fear of eternal separation. He left his body against his own will. Why, then, this stigma? Why was he called a suicide, when he was forced to leave his home, his family, and the warmth of his loved ones? André gradually loses strength. Even the strongest person has limits to emotional endurance. At first, he tries to remain firm, determined. But over time, he falls into long periods of discouragement. Not knowing his own fate, instead of strengthening his spirit, he allows tears, long suppressed, to flow from his heart. His earthly knowledge does not help him in the face of infinity. He compares it to soap bubbles carried away by the violent wind of truth. And yet, his consciousness remains alert. He knows he is still himself, with feelings, with memory, with identity. The hunger does not cease. He does not fall asleep. There is no forgetfulness. From time to time, he throws himself upon wild plants near murky streams of water. He devours unknown leaves. He drinks mud. Sucking the earth from the road, he recalls his daily bread and weeps bitterly. Often he must hide from herds of beings with animal-like forms, moving about like insatiable beasts. Doubt grows stronger. And then a thought appears that changes everything. There must exist an author of life, wherever he may be. This thought brings relief. The one who, on earth, despised religions, now feels a deep need for spiritual comfort. As a physician rooted in the negativism of his generation, he must acknowledge the bankruptcy of his own pride. When he no longer has any strength left, when he feels glued to earthly mire, he begs the supreme author of nature for help. He does not know how long this prayer lasts. He knows only that he weeps like a child. And he asks the question, "Am I also not a child of God?" One must suffer greatly to understand the beauty of prayer. One must touch misery to taste hope. And then the mists disperse. Someone appears. A smiling old man looks at André with fatherly tenderness and says, "Take courage, my son. The Lord has not abandoned you." André asks, "Who are you?" And the answer comes, "Call me Clarêncio. I am only your brother." Clarêncio tells him to rest. He calls 2 companions. They give André first aid. As they lift him, Clarêncio says, "We must leave without delay. We must reach our home as soon as possible." And with these words, the 2nd chapter comes to an end. For the first time, hope appears. For the first time, help appears. And for the first time, there appears the promise of another reality. This chapter shows that help comes not when we are strong, but when we acknowledge our own helplessness. Are we able to truly pray when everything else fails? In the next episode, we will enter a stage of transition from the umbral toward the world of help. See you soon.